Hey everyone, I am the co-founder of Hustle Badger and very lucky to have with us here today Jacob Bank, who is the CEO of Relay, which is a agent building platform and something that I'm personally a big fan of. So most of this talk is going to be Jacob telling us what agents are, how to build agents, how they can make our lives better. But I did just want to give a quick shout out about Hustle Badger, explain what we do. We do super practical training on AI skills and on product management. We have a bunch of both on-demand skills that courses, wikis, templates that you can use self-serve, as well as a number of on-demand live cohort courses, which I'll say a little bit more about later. But we are running these talks on a weekly basis where we pull in experts from across the industry to teach you super practical skills. So I will drop a few links in the chat as we get going. I'm going to link to Jacob's LinkedIn because he posts like a ton of really great content on there. To the Hustle Badger YouTube, the Relay YouTube, which has got a bunch of great tutorials on it as well. And a whole bunch of other useful stuff. Um, Let me not waffle on too long, boring, because you're here to listen to Jacob. You're here to learn about agents. Jacob, over to you.
Let's do it. So, hey everyone, my name is Jacob. I'm the founder of Relay.app. Don't worry, this talk is not an ad for my product in particular. This talk is going to be designed to get you to think about team building in a new way. In the world in which we have a small number of human employees managing large teams of AI agents. That is the future of work for all of us. Some of us are there already, some of us will be there in months. Everyone will have to be there in 2 to 3 years because that is what knowledge work is going to look like. And so, what I want to teach you today are some basic principles that you can use to think about what tasks AI can do for you, how to think about the job descriptions and the organizational chart of AI agents that you want, and then how to actually build those and teach them to be useful for you. So, I'm going to include a few slides and then I'll do a live demonstration portion. The live demonstration is going to be of unlaunched product features that you are going to be the first 70 people to see. So I'm really excited to get your feedback on that. And I'll be monitoring the chat as we go. So please jump in with questions, comments, feedback so we can make it interactive. With that, let's dive in. Can everyone see my screen? Great.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so this is the future, like I just mentioned. Every company that does knowledge work, where people are doing things on a computer, will have a small number of human employees and then a very large team of AI employees supporting those human employees and giving them leverage. I know this is the future because I'm already living it. The way we're building Relay.app as a company would not have been possible even a year ago. We have quite a small team of people, only 10, given the size of our customer base and the sophistication of our product, and a large team of AI agents, over 300 now, supporting us. We have no employees in marketing, sales, support, success, HR, finance, recruiting, operations, and several other job functions that most companies of our size have, either a full-time person or a full-time team in. And all of these functions are teams of AI agent managed by me. So I am I am all of those departments at our company. The other 9 people at the company are the engineers, designers, and product people building the product. Um, for example, here is our actual marketing org chart. It's going to be a bit hard to see the slide, but I can share a more zoomed in version after. But you can see that this marketing org chart is divided by channel. We have community and education, email marketing, LinkedIn, Reddit, SEO, YouTube, X/Twitter, and then our webinar motion. And you can see in each of those categories, there are anywhere between 3 and 10 AI workflows or agents that are performing those tasks. And I'll go into some detail later in some of the ones that we actually use to give you an idea of what might be possible for you. But this is our real marketing org chart. This is our support org chart. You can see that we've divided our support org chart into the phases of the support journey. The main bulk of these workflows are in directly replying to user questions, but we also want to track support load across people, summarize the major support themes coming up in a given day. We want to triage the support issues they get through into bugs or feature requests. We want to do some automatic, management of long-standing bugs or issues that need to be cleaned up. We use AI to help us do planning. So AI plans our frontline support rotations and our on-duty rotations, and it reminds people of when their rotation is coming up and proactively suggests swaps if people are, for example, going to be on vacation. And then last but not least, the AI agent automatically follows up with the customer once we've addressed an item. So this is our support chart. And here's my executive assistant. My executive assistant is actually a set of AI workflows that handle specific tasks for me. For example, I get a briefing before every meeting telling me who that person is and sharing summary of our previous correspondence. After every meeting, I have a follow-up email drafted to the other participants. I have a Slack message sent internally to our company. If people have not RSVP'd yet for a meeting, they get a reminder from me 3 hours before. If I have an unusually late or early meeting or an important conflict in the upcoming day or week, I will get a notification about that to do something about it. And then this is the one, sick day. I don't know if you can see this here. Sick day. This is the one I added recently, which is I have three little kids and one of them is often sick. And so I created a little sick day automation that all I have to do is send the words sick day to Slack. And my AI assistant will send a polite note to everyone I'm scheduled to meet with later that day saying, I'm so sorry, my kid is sick. I'll be in touch to reschedule our meeting. I also have some help with email and task management, but this is the idea. I've thought about team building and the way I orchestrate my work in a totally different way to how I would have 2 to 3 years ago. 2 to 3 years ago, the default for a founder CEO of a company with our scale would have been to hire an executive assistant, either in person or a virtual assistant. But in the world of AI agents, I decided to design and create my own because all of this is knowledge work that can happen directly in my email, my calendar, my task list, etc. So, what is an AI agent? And I'm going to give you the definition of AI agent that I find useful. There are like 11 at least different versions of AI agents. Everyone is calling their product an AI agent. Oh, OpenAI is calling their browser-based automations an agent. Airtable is calling their little copilot an agent. Everyone's calling everything in their products an agent. But I'm going to tell you what I mean by an agent in the context of building your team in a different way. So first, I want to set a foundation that there are three modalities that I've seen that I'm using AI through every day, and then I think everyone else either is or should be. The first, on the far left, is a chatbot. I'm 100% sure that every single person on this call has used a chatbot. Everyone has gone to ChatGPT and typed in some research questions or given it an email draft to give feedback on. We know what a chatbot is. It's an interactive, synchronous, text-based conversational experience where we use AI as a thought partner or a researcher or a refiner of our ideas. That's a chatbot. Of the 84 people on this call, I bet at least 75% have used a copilot. A copilot is an AI experience that lives on top of or inside of a different productivity tool and helps you create artifacts or analyze information in that tool. For example, if you've used Lovable or Bolt or V0 or Figma Make to create a website, that's a copilot because there's a 20% chat experience on the left side of the screen where you're talking to the AI, but then the main bulk of what's happening, the 80% of the screen, is the website that is being created or the prototype that's being created. Gamma is another example of a copilot where you have an AI assistant to generate a slide deck. Cursor is an example. If you're a coder, you've used the Cursor IDE, that's a copilot that helps you write code. So you know you're in a copilot if the main focus of the screen is the thing that you're making, the code, the slide deck, the website, the Excel spreadsheet, the Airtable base, the Notion page. And then there's some AI experience that lives to the side of it or on top of it that helps you get that work done. That's Copilot. Chatbots and copilots are amazing. I don't want to make this next point in to poo-poo chatbots or copilots or to diminish the huge impact they've had on work. They're amazing. In many cases, chatbots are multiplicatively more valuable than their predecessor of Google search, or AI-enhanced copilots like Cursor are many times better than previous software development environments. But they still have the same fundamental mental model of traditional productivity tools. You type in a URL in your browser, figma.com, chatgpt.com, whatever.com, and you go to that place and you do work. So you would not think of a chatbot or a copilot as a teammate or an employee. They are still just a tool. They're AI enhanced, they're amazing, but they are still traditional productivity tools in the sense that you are sitting down at your desk doing work and you go to those tools to get something done. An agent is fundamentally different. An agent works on your behalf on its own. So you should think of an agent not as a place where you go to do work, but a doer of work. And this is where the mental model becomes more like an employee, a teammate, a contractor, an agency that you would hire to do work for you than a productivity tool that you would go to visit. AI agents do work on your behalf on their own. And so if you're deciding what type of AI tool to use to help you with a given responsibility that you have at work, here's how you know you want an agent. All three of these things should be true for you to choose an agent. Number one, the agent is proactive. It should wake up on its own to do work. You do not need to go to a website to type something in to activate your agent. It should do work on its own proactively. Number two, it should be integrated directly into your tools. You should not have to copy and paste something from ChatGPT into a Google Doc. The agent should be able to automatically write the Google Doc for you, or draft the email for you, or update the calendar event for you, or enrich the lead in your CRM for you. And number three, this is the most important part. Is it repeated? Does the agent need to do this many, many times over days, weeks, and months? And do you expect it to get better each time it does it? If you have something that's proactive, integrated, and repeated, designing an AI agent is likely the right tool for the job. If these things are not true, you should probably just use a chatbot or a copilot. So a common thing people come to me and say is like, should I use an AI agent to write my PRD for this feature that I'm only doing once ever? No, no, that's not, the juice is not worth the squeeze to use an agent for a one-off text-based interactive task. Just use a chatbot for that, or use your favorite, chat PRD, your favorite copilot tool. You should think about an agent when you think like, oh, I really wish I could hire a Reddit-focused marketer that would automatically look in the relevant subreddits and do sentiment analysis for me and comment when relevant. That is the kind of thing that you want an agent for because it needs to be proactive, integrated, and repeated. And so that's what makes an agent have the mental model that's more like a teammate, an employee, or a contractor than like a traditional productivity tool. Does that all make sense? Any questions so far?
You've got one question here just asking about security and how you handle that, giving access to different platforms for agents.
To complete the mental model, you should think of an AI agent in the same way you think of hiring a human employee. And so if you've ever worked with a virtual assistant, you know that you need to give your virtual assistant access to your email and calendar because that's the only way that your virtual assistant can possibly triage your emails for you and create your calendar events for you. If you hire a new teammate to your marketing team and you want them to be able to write Slack messages and create Google Docs and update your CRM, you need to give them access to do those things too. So in general, you should think about anywhere you want your AI agent to do work on your behalf, you need to give them access to the right tools. That could either be through giving them access to your credentials for those tools, or it could be creating a dedicated agent account. We've seen customers do both of those, which are there are different scenarios in which you might use one technique or another. The simplest is just to give the agent access to your tools and have it work on your behalf. But if you work in a larger organization, it may make sense to create like a dedicated account for the agent so you can control exactly what it has access to that might be different from what I have access to. Now, I think there's a huge misconception. I don't want to say misconception, that's too harsh. I think people are spending their energy focused on the wrong security and privacy problems in my from my perspective. I do think that trust in AI agents is the fundamental reason they're not more adopted today. We can't trust them to do good work on our behalf. Um, when I deal with customer security and privacy questions, I always get these questions that are like, is OpenAI training models on my data? No, they're not. Is my data housed in some specific locality? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Um, are you going to get hacked? And an AI agent is going to, and because my AI agent has access to my email, the hacker is going to get access to everything. I think these questions are all largely irrelevant. No, OpenAI is not training on your data, but even if they were, that's not a real security vector for most companies. Yes, there's always a risk that a SaaS company can get hacked, but that's been true of every SaaS company since the beginning of the time. beginning of time, and there are very, very few meaningful SaaS hackings that have actually spilled confidential data in a way that did any business harm. So that's not something to be worried about. Data locality is a whole separate question that is certainly not driving more security unless you're in a very specific regulated industry and you need to be under some legal jurisdiction. So I would ignore all of those questions. Every vendor in our space, whether it's Relay, Zapier, or Make, I would trust all of them with my personal email data, even our competitors. And so that's not the angle through which I would think about security and privacy. The angle I would think about is what are the things a human employee could do that would be problematic with data? Well, they could email some sensitive information to the wrong customer. That happens all the time. All the time. Anyone who's worked in a large company has had an experience where an employee sent in an email to the wrong person. Happens all the time. But more so when you're in the early days of training your AI agent, because AI agents are so powerful and they can send thousands of emails at once, whereas a human can typically only send, one or two emails at once, it's very possible that an AI agent can send a thousand emails to the wrong people. And so that's not so much a security and privacy issue in the sense of like, do they have SOC 2 compliance or are they going to get hacked? It's more like if you give your AI agent bad instructions and it doesn't do the task well, it can create very problematic situations. And I'm going to talk in a moment about a couple techniques that you can use to build trust in your AI agent, whether it's making your instructions to it more deterministic and also adding a human in the loop before high stake actions. So that's if I were you, that's what I would worry about. Could my AI agent send a thousand emails to the wrong person? I wouldn't worry about, will Zapier get hacked and my email data will be published. That's just not a relevant concern for most companies. Any other questions? Okay, I see a couple of follow-up questions here. Um, if you have IT teams who do not agree with my perspective, here's what I recommend. I'm going to show you a bunch of examples where you can create valuable AI agents that work only based on public data. They don't need access to your email. They don't need access to your CRM. They don't need access to your customer data. They're just going to look at public information on social media, public information on the web, and do really useful things for you. And so whenever I run into a troublesome IT team, that's what I always start with. Just start using public data. Don't ask for internal access to any systems. Build confidence that this thing is actually valuable. And then you'll have the political capital and the business case to go through the IT procurement process. But ultimately, like IT teams are going to have to get with the program because businesses are either going to adopt AI in a meaningful way or they're not going to exist anymore. And so hopefully you have forward-thinking leaders who are going to help give you some air cover to adopt AI tools. And if you don't, feel free to introduce them to me and I'll try to nudge them in the right direction. Isn't some of the friction caused by people who believe there are right and wrong answers versus probably, yeah, Brent, this is a really good point, which is that's an example of the trust problem I'm mentioning, where it's like, I'm not sure the AI agent is going to give me the right answer every time. I'm not sure it's going to give the answer exactly as I would. And I'll show you a couple techniques that you can use to make your agent more reliable and more trustworthy. Any other questions before we move on? Okay, let's keep going. So let's say you're now excited. You're excited about this possibility of having a bunch of AI teammates working with you and helping you. What do you do? The first thing that I would recommend that you do is probably the first thing you do when you are hiring a new person to your team is you write a job description. And now when I say job description, I'm not talking about has a bachelor's of science from a university and has 8 years of C++ experience, not that kind of job description. I'm talking about a task-oriented job description. What is this teammate, person, or AI agent going to do for you? And now I want to show you how to write a simple and high quality AI agent job description that is going to make it very easy for that AI agent to do good work on your behalf. Here's what a job description includes. Super simple. Number one, what is the title of your AI agent? Reddit marketing assistant, competitive analyst, user researcher, support triager, whatever, some 2, 3 word job title of the function you want them to play in your company. And then you give them responsibilities. Responsibilities are the tasks you want your AI agent to do. I typically recommend giving a single agent 3 to 4 responsibilities because my general preference is to have a large number of small and manageable AI agents rather than a small number of large agents. but that's a personal style choice. You can have 10 responsibilities if you want. You can have 100 responsibilities if you want. You could have just one responsibility if you want. But what I find in most real world situations where I'm working with customers, a good AI agent has 3 to 4 responsibilities. How do you write a responsibility? A good responsibility. A good responsibility is written as what, when, how. What do you want the agent to do? When should they do it? And how should they do it? This is probably going to be a little bit more prescriptive than you'd write in the job description for a senior human teammate. It's more like the job description you write for a junior human teammate. For example, if you were hiring a virtual assistant, you would probably write a responsibility that's like triage my emails. Every time an email comes in, look in my CRM to see if it's an important customer, and if so, apply an important label. That's a what, when, how articulation of that responsibility. The reason this what, when, how articulation is so important is because each responsibility that we write in our AI agent's job description is going to become an AI workflow in our tool of choice, whether it's Relay or Zapier or Make or N8N. And if you've used any of those automation and workflow tools, you know that they typically work in a trigger action modality, where the trigger is when, determines when the AI should wake up and do work, and then the remaining steps, the actions, are the how. And so by writing your responsibility as what, when, how, what you've done is created a very nice zero state prompt for creating the workflow that will execute on that responsibility. Does that make sense? I'll show you a few examples to make it more concrete. What? Follow up after meetings. When? When a meeting ends. How? Use AI to review the transcript and draft a follow-up email. This is a well-crafted responsibility. It's not rocket science. This is not like some super complex 500-word prompt. It's what, when, how. Each of those is, 3 to 10 words. Follow up after meetings. When a meeting ends, use AI to review the transcript and send a follow-up email. Another example. What? Analyze YouTube videos. When? When a competitor posts a new YouTube video. How? Use AI to analyze it and send a summary to Slack. Again, it's stupidly simple. But this, I promise you, when you articulate a bunch of responsibilities in this what, when, how format, you'll see that combined, they can do really amazing, amazing things for you. So those are two examples of responsibilities. What, when, how. Always think what, when, how. Now what I want to do is I know a lot of people on the call are product managers or have roles related to product management. So I'm going to show you 6 examples of agents that every PM should have. And for each agent, I'm going to have a job description, which is the title, and then 4 responsibilities. And each of those responsibilities is going to be written as what, when, how. Number 1, an executive assistant. What? Triage emails. How? When I receive an email. How? Analyze whether I need to reply and label. I'm not going to read all these out, but an executive assistant should do email triage. It should create meeting briefings for you. It should draft meeting follow-ups for you. And it should remind you of important tasks that you've missed. So again, let's look at the what, when, how of task reminders. Every day, identify tasks that I was supposed to do today that I've forgotten to do or haven't finished, and then remind me via Slack. What, when, how. That's the executive assistant. Number 2, the competitive analyst. It should track your competitors' pricing every month. Every week, it should summarize all of the major launches from your competitors. Every month or every quarter, it should go to neutral review sites, whether it's G2 or Reddit, and scan for people talking about your competitors, pulling out quotes, pulling out sentiment. And then finally, it should analyze which customers your competitors are targeting based on case studies they're announcing, customer quotes they're highlighting, things they're posting on social media. And again, every single one of these job descriptions, or excuse me, these responsibility descriptions is a very simple what, when, how. Look at the last one. Every month, scan the competitor's website for reference customers and case studies, analyze those with AI, and then send me a report. That's the number 2, the competitive analyst. Number 3, social media marketer. Track mentions of your brand. Repurpose content automatically from your YouTube or from your LinkedIn to other channels. Research top performing content in your niche. This has been like the single biggest unlock for our business. Figuring out what people are talking about in the AI space that is generating a lot of attention, and then adding our unique perspective on it. And then number 4, this is something I was scared to do for a long time. I was like, I could never write the same post again. I could, how terrible would that feel to write the same post again? Everyone is going to be so mad at me recycling old content. Turns out no one remembers. Even if they do remember, they're probably happy to see it again because they had forgotten about it. And so the simplest thing you can have a social media marketer do is just look at your best posts from over 6 months ago and recycle them. And so these are the kinds of responsibilities you can give to your third agent, your social media marketer. Number four, a data analyst. I bet you, how many people do we have on the call now? Let's see, 90 some. Um, I bet you every single person in your job at some point you write an email that's like weekly metrics report about something. It could be about activation data, it could be about churn data, it could be about sales data, it could be about um, customer targeting, could be based on geography, whatever it is. You should be using an AI agent as your data analyst to write these weekly reports for you, to alert you to any changes in important metrics, to benchmark how your metrics compare to others. Like, hey, we just did some research today that 59% of our revenue comes from the US and 41% of the rest of the world. Is that normal? Are we doing roughly the right thing? Do we have some huge gap that's making it hard for the rest of the world to buy our product? Doing competitive benchmarking is super time consuming, but very easy for an AI agent. And then last thing that I'd recommend for all PMs is customer profiling. Review your successful customers automatically and figure out what industries are they in, what's the company size do they have, who works with them, etc. That was number four, I believe. Number five, every PM that I've ever worked with has said, I wish we had a dedicated user research to help us. I wish we had enough resources for a dedicated researcher to help us. Again, there's this situation where you can design your own AI agent that is your user researcher. Every day, it can synthesize support tickets for you to highlight usability issues. Every day, it can scan any online forums for what people are organically saying about your product. If you have a structured user interview motion, it can review all of those customer interviews and write a report that includes sentiment, key quotes, etc. And then last but not least, you can have your user researcher review all upcoming PRDs and make sure to note which user feedback it would address or not address. And then number six, last but not least, the project manager. Every PM I've ever worked with has said, oh, I'm so frustrated. So much of my job has become project management. I want to be doing product management, yet I find myself doing so much project management. Well, then delegate the project management to an AI agent. You can have your AI agent write weekly status reports. You can have it notify you or others when bugs or issues are overdue. You can have it automatically log the action items from all of your meetings and follow up. And you can have it create really cool burn down charts or analytics of project progress. So if you're a PM or even if you're not a PM, I hope these six specific agents gave you some ideas of things that you might want to delegate to AI. So now what I want to do is we've got about half an hour left, a little less half an hour left. Let me pause quickly there for questions, and then I want to show you live how to build one. Any questions?
Let's look at how we build them.
Let's do it. Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is not yet available in Relay.app or any other product. But I think you'll see why it's cool, and it'll be available soon, and you'll also see how you can adapt to the existing tools. Okay, can you all see my Relay.app screen? What
Yeah,
I'm
we
going to
can see
do
that.
in this demonstration is I'm going to create an executive assistant, which is an agent that's general to pretty much anyone who has meetings and emails. And here's what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to click Create Agent. The first thing I'm going to do is create the job description of that AI agent. And I know I want a personal assistant. So I'm going to click personal assistant. I could also click other, and then I could just write from scratch. So I'll click other, and I'm going to say, I want you to be my executive assistant. I'm not really big on personified names, so I'm just going to call it executive assistant. And now I'm going to give it responsibilities. And each of those responsibilities is going to be a what, when, how. Triage my emails. When a new email comes in, decide whether I need to reply, add appropriate label. Daily briefings. Every morning, look at all of my meetings for the day and write me a Slack message summary. call out any important meetings. And number 3, task reminders. Every day, look at my, oh, let's just do those. Let's just do those two for now. I ran into the limits of this text box. We got to make that bigger. Okay, now I'm going to hit create agent. And so now I'm in a view where I'm interacting with this agent. You can see that I can reference the job description I created. And now it's time for me to make that first workflow. And so to make that first workflow, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click new skill. And that's going to take me into the workflow builder that may be familiar to you if you've already used Relay.app or Zapier or Make or N8N. And all I'm going to do is copy the exact what, when, how responsibility articulation I created. And I'm going to make that the zero state prompt in my workflow creation. So I'm going to say triage emails. When a new email comes in, use AI to determine whether I need to reply. If so, add the to reply label. I'm going to hit enter. So what this copilot is going to do, remember, this is a copilot because it's an in-product AI experience that's helping us build a workflow. What this copilot is going to do, it's going to analyze my articulation of the responsibility, and it's going to translate that into an AI workflow. You can see that it set up a trigger when an email is received. Then in step 2, it set up an AI step that's going to read that email and determine whether it needs a reply. And then number 3, it's working on the step to add the to reply label. It's looking, you can see on the left, it's looking through my label corpus to see if I have a to reply label. And it's saying, I almost finished, but I couldn't quite find the right label in your Gmail label corpus. You see where it says labels required. So now what I need to do is I need to manually go in and say, yeah, the label I want in this case is to reply. And so I can now review the work that the Copilot has done. It's going to trigger whenever an email is received. It's going to triage that email. You can see there's a super simple prompt. Given the following email, does it require a reply? You could make this prompt more involved if you want to over time as your AI gets better. When you're using an AI step in the context of a workflow, I want to show you 2 things that are super important. You've all written prompts in ChatGPT. You may not have written prompts in the context of a workflow. The prompt box is exactly the same, but there are 2 very important differences. When you're using an AI step in the context of an automated workflow, the AI needs to reason about what data it's using to make that decision, which typically comes from earlier on in the workflow, and then what it wants to do with the result of that data. So you can see here where it says AI has access to the email. That means we've given the AI access to the email that triggered this workflow for it to make this decision. And you can see the output is going to be a yes or no, whether a reply is required, and a reason. Now, I see that the Copilot has done something a little bit wrong here, which is it's going to apply that to reply label no matter what. So I need to tell it only add the label if we need to reply. Don't add it if we don't. This is the same way you'd train an executive assistant that's working for you in the context of your real job. If they're using the to reply label too aggressively, you would tell it only use the label when it's actually replying. Okay, so let's see if the AI agent can fix this. I think we just switched it to Claude 4.5 Sonnet, so it might not be able to handle this. Let's say add a path. I'm going to give it a little more guidance on how to do this. So I gave it a little hint which says add a path, which is going to help you figure out whether you need to add the label or not. And now the AI is confirming to me it added some conditional logic after the AI triage step that only if the reply is needed do we want to add the to reply label. If to reply was not, if the AI did not find that we need to reply, we don't add the label. So now I've created my first workflow for triaging emails I need to reply to. If I go back to my executive assistant, You can see that my executive assistant now has one skill. That's currently off, but I can flip it to on. I could test it. I won't go through that now because I want to show you another one as well. Okay, so now I have a first skill. Now I want to get a second skill, daily briefing. So again, I'm writing a what, when, how prompt, but with a little more detail in the how every morning. Look up all my meetings for the coming day. Meetings are events with guests. And write me a detailed daily briefing and send it to me as a Slack message. Be sure to call out any important meetings. Let's see if the copilot can translate this what, when, how description of the responsibility into a detailed workflow. You can see that the copilot has created the plan of what it's going to do. Trigger every morning, find all the meetings, filter to just those with guests, identify and highlight important meetings, summarize them, and send them in Slack. I can answer some questions while we watch it work.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of questions in the chat. Someone's asking if this will your previous automation would work with Outlook, and how does it work with the password and security restrictions?
Yeah, so the email services that Relay.app supports are Gmail and Outlook. And the way you connect your Gmail and Outlook is via OAuth. So you'll go to, we have a screen in settings where you can manage your connections. You'll log in to an Outlook provided screen with your Outlook credentials. Never put your Outlook credentials into another app. You'll get a pop-up from Outlook that says, log in with your credentials. Do you want to give Relay.app access to your email? And then you'll have the same kind of third-party OAuth access that you've probably set up with other products in the past. Okay, so now you can see that the AI finished this workflow. It's first looking at my primary calendar. It's finding the events on that primary calendar. It's generating a daily briefing. And let's see, the Slack window. And then it's going to send it to me as a DM in Slack. Let me walk through this a little more slowly. It's going to trigger every day at 8 a.m. Pacific time. If I want that to be at 6 a.m. Pacific time, I can modify it either by changing the workflow in the flow builder directly, or I could say, actually, do my daily briefings the night before. Then it's going to find the relevant events that match that time window. You can see now it changed the briefing to 6 p.m. Now it's going to find the events that match the date. And now you can see that the events it's going to find are those with guests on the same day. But now, because I'm doing the briefing the night before, make sure you find events for tomorrow. Because if we're doing the daily briefing for the night before at 6 p.m., I want to find the events for tomorrow. So you can see now it has updated the find event step. Does everyone see where it says +1 day there? It's a little subtle, but it says I've updated your find event step to look for the events the next day. Then it's going to use those events to write the daily briefing. It's going to write a nice notification and then send it to me over Slack. So now again, if I go back to my agent view, I can see that it has these two particular skills. Now what I want to do is I'm going to show you how it actually does a run. I'm just going to replace this quickly with my primary calendar. Do I have any sensitive meetings that I don't want people to see? Nah, I think it's okay. I'll just say this is daily briefing. Let's do a test run. So it found two events tomorrow. Tomorrow is a holiday in the US, so I hope I don't have too many events because my kids are off school. So it found two events. Now it's going to write a daily briefing and send it to me over Slack. This will probably take like 30 seconds, but don't worry. when your AI assistant is doing this behind the scenes, you won't know that it takes 30 seconds because you'll just get it showing up in your box. Okay, so let's see it wrote in the daily briefing. It says, okay, I've got my team meeting in the morning. Jeroen's the MC. It's a recurring meeting. Tyson's gonna do a backlog review, blah, blah, blah. And then I have a quick meeting with one of our users. Overall summary. This is like a pretty decent daily briefing. I could, of course, go through and adjust the prompt to make it better. Now, if I go back to my agent view, I can see here's the recent work that my assistant did on my behalf. It sent the daily briefing for November 25th. And so as you build up your agents and they do more work for you over time, you can see here's the work they're going to be doing for you. You can see whether the workflows are on or whether they're off. And then you can see all of the past work they've done for you. Now I want to show you one more thing. Let's say you don't know yet exactly how to. Oh, what did I do here? Let me refresh. If you don't know exactly how to articulate your workflow as a what, when, how responsibility, the agent can help you figure that out. So I'm going to show you quickly how to do that. Do oh shoot. Give me 1 second. Remember how I told you that feature was unlaunched? My feature flag resets every day, so I have to turn it back on. Just give me one moment. Feel free to ask questions in the chat while I'm fixing this.
Yeah, so there's maybe I can read out one of these.
Yeah,
I
please.
think one popular question that's come up a couple of times is, yeah, how would you compare Relay against Zapier, Make, N8N, some of these other agent platforms that people will have heard of?
Yep. In general, the primary axis of differentiation is how much technical expertise is required to succeed in the product. And there's basically a spectrum from Relay on one side to N8N on the other side. So if you really want an open source product that you can contribute new integrations to, if you want to self-host it in your infrastructure, if you're very comfortable parsing JSON objects and writing custom code and making your own HTTP requests, N8N is a good choice for you. N8N is the best tool in the category for technical teams. If you are a less technical user and want to have a simpler and easier to use experience, we've tried to build Relay to be on the far opposite side of the spectrum. So think of a spectrum between Relay and N8N. Um, if you have a more conservative company that wants the no one got fired for buying IBM product, Zapier is a great and safe choice. They have the most integrations. They've been in the market for the longest. They have a well-executed product. It's decently easy to use. It's easier to use than N8N, not quite as easy to use as Relay, but it's a solid product and it integrates with everything. If you want Zapier, but a little bit cheaper and more flexible, you should probably choose Make. Though Make actually just made a change to their pricing, so I'm not sure if that holds anymore. In general, I'm seeing a harder justification for recommending Make right now because I think Make is kind of trapped in between Zapier and N8N. If you want all the integrations and the stable enterprise brand, go with Zapier. If you want the technical flexibility and the super low price from self-hosting, choose N8N. Then those are kind of in the traditional automation players. Then, if you want a modern agent builder along the lines of Relay.app and you really want to build a team of AI agents, you should also consider Relevance and Lindy. Relevance, Lindy, and Relay are three products I think you should consider. We've tried to make Relay the easiest to use for basic tasks. Relevance enables you to do some more complex multi-agent coordination than we currently enable. And Lindy has some extra features like voice agents, and they also have their own sort of like vibe coded app builder, so they have sort of a bigger feature scope. But really, all of these products have either a generous free tier or a generous free trial. So what I recommend doing is take a specific job description of an agent you want to build, like this executive assistant. Go to Relay, go to Lindy, go to Relevance, go to Make, go to N8N, go to Zapier. Just try to build out one workflow. And if you can't do it in 15 minutes, start with Relay, of course. No, start with whichever one you have a natural affinity for, or if you've heard good recommendations for. If you can't build a workflow for it in 15 minutes, move on to the next one. If you succeed in 15 minutes, stick with that one. That's my general recommendation.
Yeah, and as a somewhat independent person, I don't work for Relay, but that's exactly what we've noticed when we're teaching people. So We use Zapier, we use Relay, we use N8N all internally at Hustle Badger. Um, like everyone starting out, I push towards Relay because it's just so easy to get going. And I only really push people towards N8N if they want to kind of create like their own agent, or something that's going to be like deployed into production or equivalent that's going to be like they're going to run evals on it. It's going to have like that level of
That's another
sophistication.
great point. Like Relay is really built for internal business operations, hiring an AI teammate. Relay isn't meant for building into your product. So that kind of breaks the mental model of like you wouldn't hire a teammate to like do a welcome email for every user in your product, probably. And so in those cases, you can use Relay, but probably you're gonna have a better time with N8N. And so someone in the chat wrote that order. I don't think that's a general order. I would not put N8N at the bottom generally. I think for less technical users, N8N can be hard to access, but N8N is very powerful. So I don't think there's a way to rank them. I don't think there's a way to rank these six tools in like pure rank order. I think it's more of like a triangular space of technical ability, user friendliness, and integration depth, where every I can maybe make a little diagram ad and send it out to people where like every product and it depends on which axes that you care about most.
Yeah, yeah, that would be superb. Um, I think that'd be really, really helpful. There's a couple of people asking if you can create agents and then hand them over. So almost like an agency model where you're creating agents for clients. Is that something that you've seen? Is that possible?
Yeah, I would say about 10% of our customers work with a partner or a consultant who builds agents for them. And the way that works is if a partner is creating an executive assistant agent for me, I will give them temporary access to build agents using my credentials. So I can share my email connection with the partner just for the duration of the time that they're building the agent. And then the agent still lives in my workspace. So the way this works, if you're a company working with a consultant, you add the consultant into your workspace, you give them access to the tools they need, they build the workflows in their workspace in your workspace, and then you can either keep them in your workspace on retainer or you can part ways with them, no problem. If you're a an AI agency or automation consultant, you would tell your client to first set up their own Relay workspace, and then they would invite you to it. You'd build out the workflows, and then what we typically see is that our partners they have like a deep initial engagement where they build out a bunch of the workflows, and then they have like a lightweight retainer for some multi-months after that to fix issues and help with training.
There's a few people asking when you're gonna release these new features you've been demoing, the kind of the role descriptions, the new UI where you've got these kind of like different teammates you're launching.
I'm not sure myself. Hopefully by the end of the year. But soon. It's getting close. Like as you can see, I think it's looking pretty nice. There's some little issues like the text box doesn't have as much. What you can do now, Oleg, is what I've been doing for the last year is just make a folder. Make a folder, stick your workflows in the folder, and it's functionally sort of similar, but it doesn't look as pretty. But yeah, we're as you can imagine, we're working hard to get that out as fast as we can.
And maybe I can ask my own question, Jacob. You talked a little bit about how you kind of check the answers, and I know you can go through and the output of each of the individual steps. Do you have any plans to add in sort of any kind of evals, or is that something that you've seen people kind of set up in a hacky way so that they can test more complicated prompts and systems?
Yeah, great point. So first, let me show you the different ways you can add a human in the loop into your workflow if you want to feel confident that before the daily briefing gets sent out, it's good. One way you can do this is in the context of an AI step, you can add a human in the loop. And so when the AI produces the daily briefing, it's going to ask the human to make one of three choices. A, does it look good? Go ahead and send it. B, do you want to edit it manually and improve it? Or three, do you want to give me a refinement prompt to go back and try again? So that's a human in the loop step in the context of like directly collaborating with the AI to create the daily briefing. You can also create a standalone human in the loop step where do you see why I made a standalone step in the workflow where a human has to approve before the thing gets sent? Now, you would not do this for an internal daily briefing use case, but we see this very commonly for like a sales meeting follow-up, where you may want the sales manager, you may want, for example, the sales representative to do the kind of deep collaboration with the AI to write the draft, and then you want the sales manager to approve the draft before it goes out. In terms of evals, it's actually something we're working on right now. Right now, what you do is you basically just hit test prompt and then you select a previous event or set of events you want to test with. And then you can just sort of like do a lightweight manual evaluation where you change the prompt or change the model. What we're working on is a slightly, not a super complex, we're not going to rebuild all of LangChain, but like a slightly more robust system where you can say, here are 10 previous emails. Here's what you should have said for each of them. Make sure you always get those 10 right. And the nice thing about an eval in this context is it's not just a one-off evaluation of how well the agent performs. The agent is going to use that context as a knowledge base in the future to make sure that it's analyzing forthcoming emails using the information of decisions it made in the past.
Yeah, super.
Okay, any last questions? I think we've got 5 minutes left, so we can probably do one question and then a quick wrap up. Oh, I see a question I think I missed from Brent. A lot of organizations and industries try to apply lean principles to the work they do. Will the use of agents reduce or eliminate the need to be efficient in workflows? Let me make 2 points in response to that question. First is I think organizations of the future will look at staffing fundamentally differently than organizations of 2 years ago. And anyone saying anything different, I think, is either being deliberately misleading or is not fully understanding the power of the trend here. In the olden days, whenever we had more work than our current team could do, we had two options. Do we hire someone new, or do we rebalance priorities within the existing team? And pretty much always we had to rebalance existing priorities because most of us did not have the luxury of infinite budget to just hire more headcount. So it was always a reprioritization exercise. Now we have a third option. We don't need to hire new people. We don't need to prioritize internally. We can just do more because we can create AI agents to give us leverage. And so I think that is going to be a fundamental tool in the toolbox that will enable companies to do much more per person. That doesn't necessarily mean companies will have smaller headcount. They might have the same headcount and then just achieve more per person, or they might have a smaller headcount and keep achieving the same amount. Most of the customers that we talk to want to still grow their team and just achieve way more. So I'm not saying there's some like doom and gloom job reduction argument, maybe the case in some large customers, but in most companies, people will try to do more with either the same team or slightly more or slightly more people, but do way more. The other thing to keep in mind is when you're thinking about designing these workflows, how much do you need to worry about efficiency? Here's a very common email that I get from customers. My competitive research agent used 300 AI credits. That's kind of a lot of AI credits. How do I make my competitive research agent more efficient? And my response is usually, well, here's how to make it more efficient. You can use a cheaper model or pass in less data. But 300 AI credits is like 30 cents. And this wrote a 15-page, very high quality report for you. If you'd asked an agency to write that high quality report for you, it would have been thousands of dollars. And so, in general, my perspective is that if you're asking these AI agents to do anything valuable for you, they're going to be so ridiculously cheap relative to the alternative that you don't need to worry about saving 5% of AI credits here or 5% of AI credits there. Your time is worth more than that. If you find yourself thinking, this is not worth the 100 AI credits, then it's probably not worth building an AI agent for at all because you don't care enough about the thing. That's like my general advice. If it's something important that you care about in your business, don't worry about nickel and diming on AI credits. Just get it working really well. And then, yeah, if it's running thousands of times a day and costing you dozens of dollars per day, then it might be worth making it more efficient. But like, I wouldn't worry about something costing $1 a month versus $2 a month if it's valuable to you. That's personally. Okay. So if you found this useful, a useful taste, I'm basically, this is what you just saw is like the introductory 20 minutes of a course that I'm teaching starting next week for building those 6 AI agents. In the course, what we'll do is we'll actually go through each of those 6 agents one by one. We'll build out every single workflow. I'll show you all the techniques, triggers, actions, AI steps, prompts. And I'll personally grade your homework. So I'll tell you anything I recommend about how you can make your agents better. If you're interested in that, I think I pasted the link way back up at the beginning of the chat. Maybe we can send it out in the follow-up. And other than that, my name is Jacob. My email is jacob@Relay.app. You can find me on LinkedIn, and I'm here to help anytime if you have any questions or feedback on how I can make this content more useful. And then, yeah, sign up for all of Ed's stuff also.
Thanks so much, Jacob. That was absolutely excellent. A real tour de force there of taking us through agents and showing us some stuff live. I've been using Relay and a bunch of other agent stuff for months, and even stuff I was learning there. I've posted the link to you on LinkedIn, as I say. Really recommend everyone to follow you because I know you're posting like ton of great stuff on LinkedIn. I've posted the link to your Maven course. I've also, again, quick shout out for the Hustle Badger courses. I know in independent evolution, we were kind of going the same direction. So we've got our own course on building out a team of agents that's launching in January. Um, I think Jacobs is going to be awesome. Don't get me wrong. Ours is also going to be awesome. And we have a
Yeah, and
second
in
course.
general,
Oh,
in general, I'm gonna stick to more general techniques that will be useful for a very broad audience. And my guess is that Ed, you're gonna go way deeper in the specific things that the Hustle Badger audience will care about. So I don't think they're competitive courses at all.
yeah. I mean, I think I genuinely think like either of those courses is going to be great because I've spoken to, this is not our first interaction, and I know kind of like the
Yeah.
quality of stuff that Jacob does. We also have a second course. If you do want to create those more complex agents, like the kind of the NAN ones, you want to learn how to run evals, you want to show that you can build AI products and have a live product that you can stick in your portfolio. We have another course called Deploy an AI Agent, which we are also launching in January. So if you're looking for that kind of like step up, we can cover that as well. Um, I think that's it. We will post the recording. We're going to email you all like a bunch of kind of reminders and links. So if you missed something, then you'll have all the links and stuff there. But thanks once again, Jacob. Being fantastic, and hopefully we get a chance to do something again like this soon.
Yeah, thanks so much for hosting, Ed. Thanks everyone for joining. See you all soon.